JT Show.
What's going on, you sexy beasts, and welcome to another episode of the Smash JT Show, my weekly episodic adventure discussing divisive issues in the video game industry and beyond sometimes. It airs every Friday, and before I forget, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoy what you're watching. Let's just jump right into it. For this episode, I gotta talk about the Game Awards. Again. I know I spoke about it earlier where Geoff Keighley kind of admitted on Twitter that they may have forgotten to add Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as a nominee for best soundtrack and music, whatever that category is. It's just not even listed there, and it's too late to add it now, so it can't even win potentially because they left it off the nomination form. Be that as it may, the Game Awards, I need to step away from that situation and look at this from a wider angle and talk about the actual event itself and if it's even something that's necessary for the game industry at large. From my perspective, I enjoy watching it for the game announcements that come out, for the discussion topics that they have about why something's big and why you should care about it. All the marketing that goes into it, I guess, is what I enjoy out of the Game Awards. Which is ironic because that's not what people should be watching the Game Awards for. People should want to watch an awards show to give credit to the programmers and developers who deserve the credit for it. But I feel like each year that passes, Geoff Keighley's Game Awards have become more of a marketing campaign and a blitz for all these big game companies to talk about their latest and greatest, instead of actually focusing on the creators of the games from the previous year. That would be like looking at the movie industry, and instead of focusing on the Oscars and the award winners for that given year, in between the announcements and nominees, they'd be advertising upcoming movies and why you should care about upcoming trailers and what's new on the horizon. That doesn't happen in the Oscars because people want to give credit to those who put the effort in to get to where they are. The Game Awards are almost trying to make it a money first thing instead of a give credit first thing. And yes, I know that's what everything always boils down to. In the movie industry, I'm sure there's money to be made in the advertisement segments that they have in between the actual awards. But for the Game Awards themselves, they need to differentiate themselves somehow by not making them a marketing campaign, but by actually focusing on the creators themselves. Ideally, what I would like to see out of the Game Awards would be strictly an awards show talking about what's winning what and why, so I can be excited about some of the games I may have missed from the previous year. And on a separate night, do some sort of marketing blitz. Separate the two completely, because right now, I don't know what's actually an award and what's just being paid marketing sponsorships by these gigantic AAA publishers to get squeezed in there to manipulate consumers and confuse them to make them think that an upcoming game is somehow tied into winning an award for this year. And until the Game Awards actually does that, where they separate the show from the marketing blitz, it's never going to be taken seriously because people look at this as a money grab, as a way for these companies to cash in on eyeballs watching the screen. And unfortunately, that misses the entire point of what an awards show should, at least in premise, be. The other big problem with the video game industry as far as entertainment is concerned is various opinions for games are so spread out, it is impossible for one person to play every single game that comes out every single year that's worth playing, to the extent of being able to understand deeply and fall in love with each one of these titles before moving on to the next one. Video games are very unique in that aspect because they take far longer to actually get through and enjoy than, say, an hour and a half to 2 hour movie. Many of these games, especially these days, go on for 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 plus hours sometimes before you actually complete it and really get an idea and a sense of if this is truly the game of the year or if it's just a game that you sink a lot of time into. And if you sink all that time into one of those games, you're losing out on time you could have spent playing a lot of other games or smaller titles that didn't get as much notoriety or marketing power behind it that may be as good or better depending on your mindset going into it, how you're feeling that day, other games you've played previously in your life compared to that game. There's so many different things that go into it, and then you compare to how these games get nominated. Doing the research, that I found out that they actually reach out to publishers, game magazines, developers, people in the industry to get a consensus of what the best games are and which ones should be listed as nominees for best games in specific areas. But with doing that, they're limiting the pool of what games could win over games that should be there as well if they actually put the time and love into them, like a lot of indie games that seem to get left behind. And maybe that's an argument for a different day. If indie games should be on the same level as AAA games, it's kind of looking at the movie industry, like if there's a major motion picture that's coming out compared to an indie movie. But there are some indie movies that are out there that are better than major motion pictures. And just like video games, I firmly believe there are some indie games out there that are better than the AAA giant games. Not all of them, but sometimes. And therein lies the big question with the game industry and the game awards in general of how do you even decide a game being better than another game? It's something that is totally arbitrary, and a lot of people have a lot of issues with game awards, whether it be the Golden Joystick, whether it be the Geoff Keighley Game Awards, or any of these publishers' game awards. They're all unique and individual, and it's impossible to come to any kind of consensus with any of it. But taking a look at this from the other side of things, I'm sure there are people out there that enjoy having an all-encompassing show that talk about upcoming games, as well as previous games from the year that they may have missed. So, from that perspective, I can totally see where people are coming from, but if the Game Awards are trying to become something bigger than what they are, they really need to separate the marketing from the actual awards, because right now it just feels cheap, it feels dirty, it feels like a money grab. But that's where I stand on the Game Awards situation. I'd be very interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. Do you enjoy the marketing blitz that goes along with the award show? Or would you prefer them to separate the two to make it more professional, even though the Game Awards is more for the game industry and obviously it's a little bit less uptight than the movie industry? They still need to give it some certain level of professionalism and some notoriety for it to be its own thing without feeling like it's just being paid off by these advertisers to win these awards. As for this week's smashing video of the week, I gotta talk about Oddpod. This guy has come to a few of my live streams and I've watched a few of his videos, but the latest one he had me watch had me rolling. Very professional, very funny, and I love the addition of the puppet on his show. It really makes it unique, and for some reason, I enjoy puppets mixed with video games. Look at Arlo, look at Oddpod, look at the Grumpy Munchkins. All of these guys with puppets are enjoyable because they present something unique to the viewer, and Oddpod for this specific video did an excellent job. I'll put a link in the description below. Definitely check it out. Tell him I sent you over there because I'm sure he'd appreciate that.
Do you like retro video games?
Yeah?
Do you like retro toys?
Yeah?
Do you like Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah?
Do you like a challenge?
No.
Oh.
And that's where I'm going to leave this week's episode. Again, I want to say thank you so much
This
to
is
all.
hilarious.
I didn't know this was a comedy.
This was pretty funny.
This is not a comedy, Grumpy. God. I'm sorry about that, guys. Again, I want to say thank you so much to all my Patreons who choose to support the channel with a monthly pledge. Without your support, I would not be able to continue doing this, so thank you. If anyone out there is interested in joining them for as little as $1 per month, hit that Patreon link that just showed up on the screen right now. If you enjoy what you're watching here and you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications. And if you missed last week's episode, I'll put a link to it right there. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay sexy.
Damn, girl.